Before we get into section 1, I'm just going to remind you about the Family Guide to Mental Health Recovery, which we'll be revisiting through the lecture through the video clips that you'll be seeing. This website actually has more videos available on it than the ones you'll be seeing in the lecture. So if you'd like to see the rest of them, they're available in the gallery that you see linked here. You can also get to those videos by going to the front page of the website, and we also have the website linked as one of the resources beside lecture 5.0. So we're starting with families and mental health. And we're starting with families and mental health because I believe that promoting mental health is one of the primary functions of families. On a basic level, families function to promote the health, growth, and development of all of the family members, and it does so by performing functions like the ones you see here. Some, like protection, physical nourishment, and safety, are geared to securing the survival of family members, and others, like love, nurturing, and spiritual nourishment, are geared toward promoting the happiness and well-being of family members. Let's take a closer look at how families work. In social work, we talk about the family as being a system that interacts with other systems in the social environment. The family system must operate in certain ways in order to carry out the functions that were suggested on the previous slide. Some of the processes that must be in place are connections between the members of the family, as indicated by the arrows I've put here. These connections are important so that people feel connected to each other, learning and information is transmitted between family members, and emotional safety is in place. These connections between family members are also why the well-being of individual family members is tied up with the well-being of others. If one part of the family system is unwell, then others can become unwell. At the same time, when members of the family system are well, then this can contribute to wellness for others. The family system must also have boundaries within it and around it. The boundaries within a family system are to foster a sense of personal integrity and independence for each individual family member. The boundary that surrounds the family system is to ensure that members feel a sense of connection within and are given some protection from what is outside of the family system. But these boundaries are not impenetrable. It's important for there to be points of openness between family members and also between the family and the external environment. Another thing that we see in family systems is role differentiation. This just means that different people have different roles and different things to do. Families have tasks that need to be carried out, and the family functions effectively when there are people in place to carry out those roles effectively and there is clarity about who has what role in the family system. Some would also say that hierarchy is important in a family system because there's a need to have some people who carry extra responsibility for ensuring the family system is operating smoothly. In many families, this will be the parents or maybe grandparents in a multi-generational family, but the person who assumes more authoritative roles and the importance of a hierarchy and chains of authority within a family system is very much determined by culture. And when I say culture, I'm thinking about ethnoculture, but I'm also thinking about just the culture of the family itself. In psychiatry, there have been attempts to actually measure how functional families are by using scales that evaluate how they're dealing with various challenges and responsibilities that families must address. An example of such a scale is the McMaster model of family functioning. It's very much based in a Judeo-Christian orientation to family functioning, and based on questions about family structure, organization, and interactions, which help us to characterize families in terms of their health and effectiveness. The McMaster model is oriented to identifying strengths in families, but it's also able to identify areas of difficulty, challenge, or even severe problems. The 6 categories for evaluation are listed here. Problem solving. Is this a family that is able to solve problems and has a usual set of steps for doing so? Communication. Is there effective communication among family members? Roles. Is there clarity about who does what and how things get done, and do they get done? Effective responsiveness. Is this a family that's able to share and communicate appropriate emotional responses to each other? Effective involvement. Are members of the family interested and concerned about each other, invested in each other's well-being? And finally, behavior control. Does this family have some kind of internal controls in place that set the boundaries and the latitude for acceptable behavior? Okay, I just want to pause for a moment here to emphasize the point that I made earlier about culture. So the McMaster model of family functioning gives you a framework for thinking about families and what they have to accomplish. And you can see that it defines healthiness in terms of things like being able to communicate directly with people, in terms of the way that people express affection around each other, this sort of thing, right? But that's very much embedded within a particular cultural context. So if we're thinking more generally about families, it means that the McMaster model for family functioning may not translate very well to other cultural contexts. We don't know. It'll translate better to some than to others. But in a more general sense, when we're thinking about the health of families, I think on a fundamental level, we want to know, is this family functioning in a way that promotes the health and well-being of all of its family members? And if you see a family that is functioning in a way that does not promote that health, does not promote their security and safety, does not promote their well-being, then you start thinking about, well, what's going on with this family that's getting in the way of that? So I just wanted to make sure that we were clear that there isn't one model for effective family functioning. So what happens to families when a family member is affected by mental illness? Well, the health-promoting functions of the family remain the same, but there are new challenges introduced. The personal resources that each family member brings to the family system may not be at a sufficient level to promote family health. The entire family system may be depleted by the impairment of one or more family members, and the effects that that has on everyone else. In addition, for reasons that we will discuss later in the lecture, supports and resources that have been outside the family in the external environment, which helped it to function effectively, may not be as available anymore, and this will have an effect on the family's health-promoting capacity too. Families do not necessarily know how to deal with having a member that is mentally ill. Attitudes towards mental illness, specifically stigma, get in the way of us talking openly about mental illness, and some of the consequences of that are that there is little preparation for individuals to know how to deal with being diagnosed with a mental illness, and also little preparation for families to know how to deal with having one of their members diagnosed. Despite the challenges, families play an important role in promoting mental health in the context of mental illness. This is discussed by a family member in this first segment from the Family Guide to Mental Health Recovery.